All right, class. Today we're going to dig a little bit deeper into the sport law and some legal issues. So now what you're seeing on your screen, we're going to talk some more about negligence. And negligence, as you've read in your book, is the failure to act proper, to take proper care, failure to take proper care in doing something or not doing something. All right, so let's walk through your sheet, and then I've got some notes that I'm reading as well. So in order to win a negligence case, the plaintiff or the person who's injured, and it's easy to get these two mixed up, plaintiff and defendant, and so we'll go through a scenario in a few minutes that maybe you'll be able to keep these two straight. So the plaintiff is the person that's injured, and they must prove the following four elements to show that the defendant, the person allegedly at fault, acted in a negligent manner. All right, so you can see on your screen right here, duty. All right, so we say that you have to prove each of the following. So you're going to start from the top and work your way down. So at any point, if you can't prove, then you have no case. You're done. There's no negligent case. All right, so you start with your duty. What is a duty of care? Here, the defendant, remember the defendant is the person at fault or who is allegedly at fault, owed a legal duty to the plaintiff under their circumstances. So what would an example, a good example here would be a coach and a player. There's a duty of care there. There's a relationship. That coach has the expectation to provide for and care for and keep safe his or her athletes. And that's just one example, a doctor and a patient. There are many. We'll talk about in a few minutes a facility manager and their patrons or their members, right? You have that duty of care. A facility manager to paid customers coming into their facility. You have a duty of care. All right, so you have to prove that first, and then you work your way down to your breach. Was there a breach in that duty? Right, so yes, we know that we've established that there was a level of care. Now, was that duty breached? Did they fail to do something, or did they do something they shouldn't have? All right, so if you can again prove this, then you move down to the third element of negligence, causation, or oftentimes you'll see this labeled as proximate cause. They mean the same thing. All right, so it was the defendant's actions or inaction that actually caused the injury. All right, and here what we're looking for an example, if you're a facility manager, maybe here in the Mini Dome or Freedom Hall or another facility you can think of, you're the facility manager and there's a leak and there's water has now puddled up on the steps, and you have a game that night and you don't address this leak, and someone has bought a ticket, they've come into your facility, you do have that duty of care, and you have neglected to clean up that mess. And this person falls, they fall down the steps, they break an ankle, they are injured to whatever degree. So what we're saying now is that this breach of duty, this action or lack of action, not cleaning up this water mess, led to, it was the actual cause or proximate cause of the ticket holder, the ticket holder's injury. All right, so if you say yes, it was, then you move down to the last step, and you're looking at damages. The plaintiff was not only harmed or injured as a result of the defendant's actions, but now they're seeking damages. And what does that mean? That means they're seeking money, or most often you'll have compensatory damages, and they're seeking money. All right, so if all of those things line up, and you can prove all of those things can be proved, most oftentimes, again, so you're going to be looking at yourself as the defendant situation. You're trying to avoid being that defendant, all right? Because you're going to be managing people, managing a club, managing a facility as a sport manager. All right, so it's important you understand this so you can avoid it, because you don't want to find yourself in that situation. All right, so now let's scroll on down. The following negligent claims are what you would typically see in sports. All right, not all-inclusive list, but just some things that you need to be aware of. Failure to properly train. You're going to have volunteers. right? So you make sure that you're training your volunteers and your coaches and your officials. Proper credentials, failure to be properly, have those proper credentials in whatever instance you may be needing those credentials for. Inadequate supervision, failure to properly observe, refer, or stabilize the injured player. Unequal matching of opponents. You see this in boxing. Improper return to play, improper equipment or fitting. This is very important. Again, when you're dealing with sports, most often you're dealing with some form of equipment. And it's up to you as the manager to make sure that you have the proper equipment and that it's working and that it's up to date and up to code, things of that nature. So you can read down that list. Negligent hiring or retention of personnel. Improper design or maintenance of playing field or premises. And again, there's many more than this, but these are just some of the common ones. All right, so now let's move on down to our scenario. The facility manager, you are the facility manager at a fitness gym, and you were told about 2 weeks ago about a weightlifting machine that was malfunctioning, it wasn't working right, and the members were concerned enough to come to you about this. You neglected to fix it. You got busy, you forgot about it, wasn't important, wasn't at the top of your list, whatever the reason, you did not fix it, and you had been notified. A gym member was since then injured while performing a proper exercise on this machine, and now is alleging that the gym manager, yourself, was negligent. All right, so walk through those cases. Were you negligent? Did you have a duty of care? Did you breach that duty of care? Was there a proximate cause, and was that proximate cause a result of your lack of doing something? And then obviously the gym member is seeking damages. That's why they're taking you to court under these allegations. All right, so are you able to answer those? Are you able to look through your notes and read through the chapter and understand negligence well enough to say, yes, this is a paid member, so there's a duty of care. Yes, I breached that duty because I was aware of the malfunctioning piece of equipment and I neglected to do something about it, so I breached that duty of care in keeping that paying gym member safe. The proximate cause of the injury was the machine itself, because I know that this gym member was performing proper exercises on the machine. So had it been an 18-year-old that was goofing off and not using the machine properly, then maybe I'd have an argument. But we know that they were performing proper exercises. So again, the broken machine was the proximate cause of the injury. And yes, they're seeking damages. So not a good ending to the story for you as a facility manager. But this is just a good practice to help you better understand how to avoid these types of situations. All right, so that's all for this section. Make sure that you have read your chapter, looked over the PowerPoints, and that you have completed all of your other assignments.